Hello, everybody. Just gonna be pretty much jumping right into it here then. Let's go main camera for a second. Oh, let's get some of these lights on. See how I look. Yeah, that's probably the best one I got there. Gonna light on up for there. Looking good. Audio levels look good. So yeah, not a whole lot new. Oh, let me get to the desk cam. Yeah, I did a couple tweaks to the audio stuff, so when anyone joins here, feel free to let me know how it sounds. And I readjusted it some camera angles and reattached some parts, so hopefully it'll be a little better. Also adjusted my focus just a bit. And yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it then. So as we left off, we have the waist and a single leg done. And I decided to test out and show how a bit of the posability is on these pieces. When it comes down to it, a lot of the posability ultimately comes down to the other pieces that are around it. Because the actual piece itself has way more mobility than it could probably actually need. Because as I said, this would, when it was on there, would be interacting with the other leg unless it was way splayed back, which it can be. So that's going to be part of the fun, is I think when we finish this, is figuring out what pose we're going to put this guy in. But we'll leave that up to when we go. So now that we've got the waist and one leg done, we're going to start on the other leg. Yeah, so literally for the first part of this leg building, it is, I'm not sure, how's that focused? Let me get a sense here actually for where I'm going to be holding stuff while I focus. I'll give the autofocus a couple of chinks to try to see how it works. So I'll probably end up working, yeah, right there is good. So let's hold that piece there and try the autofocus. Hey. Oh yeah, that looks much better than it did last time. So hell yeah, let's get right into it. This start on that second leg. So for this actually part of the leg construction, it's kind of what they do to save some space, is up until you're basically installing the hip joint, both legs, it's the exact same instructions to build. There's just basically two of every part. So we'll start right from there, which means we're starting from the foot again. You might have noticed I've organized the desk a little bit more, which should hopefully help me keep everything a little more in shape. Should speed me up a little bit too, but I'm actually not too worried about that. I think it is important that part of why I enjoy this is as a relaxation exercise. So I don't really need to speed through making anything. I think, oh no, almost an empty sprue. We need that piece, yeah. Actually, it will be an empty sprue if we cut this piece off. Well, actually, since I don't have anyone here yet, take a second to tweet out that I'm live. Yeah, as you saw, see on the screen above my camera there, I do have a Twitter and a YouTube. YouTube mostly I'll just be using for VODs at the start, but I do plan to start putting some more edited videos up in a bit. So yeah, feel free to follow me in either of those. I'll mostly use the Twitter to post pictures. Pretty much only use the Twitter during con season to follow artists and art from artist alleys and post pictures of any cosplay I do. Yeah, give me one moment. Let me do that. Yeah, I did put the VOD as the first stream up. Actually, let me do this off here so you don't see all my filthy tweets. And they are tweets. There will always be tweets, and it'll always be Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. That is all. If you're enjoying the background music, it is Flash Star Beat on YouTube for most of his stuff. I originally found his stuff through Dova Syndrome. It's a nice royalty-free website for various types of music. And he stopped posting there about 2 years ago and started just putting all the stuff on YouTube for himself. So yeah, please go give him some listens and some likes and subscribe to his channel. He's been putting this stuff out just pretty consistently since then as well. And I say I dig like 80% of it, which is great, pretty good for how much stuff he actually puts out. Cool. Thanks for waiting. Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna jump right into that. So, yeah, that was empty sprue, so that's gone. H8. H should be over here. Yeah. Yeah, once I'm used to where every letter is, I'll speed up here significantly. Once again, not something I'm worried about. And eventually I will stop saying once again. I completely realize it's something in my vocabulary that I say too much. That's what memes are anyway, aren't they? Just saying the same thing over and over again until they become funny. Yeah, as I mentioned, I make the original cuts with the double-sided pliers because they had to handle the thicker material a bit. Then for the cleaner cuts, I use these really high-quality single-side cutters. I'll just do this right at the start. Put them tight against the piece with the flat side, and snip. And at least from my understanding, that's how it's done. And if you don't see, it's out of focus now because I focused where my hands usually are. But I'll focus it and bring it to the camera at some point. We got this little container of all the particles that have cut from this model so far. So kind of want to see how it looks at the end. And I imagine, at least already I can kind of tell there's a like color palette that kind of matches the Deathscythe, the model from this part. So I think I'm going to end up just putting them all layered in like a vial for every, and you can kind of tell which part is from which model. It should be pretty cool in the end. So while I'm checking something here, one thing I did have in mind is I've kind of started planning out my schedule a little bit. I'm thinking it'll probably be, at least to start, I'm completely flexible. I'm probably going to change around a couple times here at the start. But I'm planning to do, for now, Tuesday to Thursday and Sunday for my streams. All from now, 6 p.m. Mountain District time to 10 p.m., 4 hours at least. I usually end up going a little later until I find a good stopping point, but we'll see how it goes. And the way I'm planning to kind of do that is I'm planning to do Tuesdays and Thursdays model building just like this, and Wednesdays and Sundays I'm probably going to play some games. I did mention on last stream that I was thinking of playing Oblivion Remaster, and I'm definitely going to do that. But I started thinking about it today, and I think I'm going to do my first game as... Wait, oh, I should check the focus on that. Yeah, it could be worse. Hey, Storyteller, welcome. Yeah, I was just saying, I kind of started planning out my schedule a little bit, and I was planning to do Tuesday to Thursdays during the week. This usual times I've done last stream, and Sunday. I was planning to do 2 model building streams and 2 gaming streams. I was talking about what I was going to play tomorrow for my first gaming stream. I had mentioned Oblivion Remastered, but I'm kind of actually leaning now, just to be a little more appropriate thematically, to Titanfall 2 campaign, because I still love that campaign. I really, one of my guilty pleasures of watching streamers is watching them play through that campaign specifically. Everyone kind of has that game they love watching streamers play through, and that's mine for sure. So I'm kind of thinking it might be appropriate for me to play that for my first game. It's a nice tight little campaign. Like, it's part of why I love it so much. Probably be able to wipe that out in 1 or 2 streams. Yeah, thanks for joining me, Storyteller. How's the focus here? I've been playing around with the autofocus on this thing, and it still seems to not be perfect, but it seems like it's a lot better than it was last time. It's right around there, pretty focused. Hell yeah. Thanks, Storyteller. Part of what I was actually kind of commiserating with Shuts about was that we can't really like use the virtual camera from OBS on Discord to test this with each other. I have to say, definitely, it's been. I used to do these models pretty regularly, but when I kind of started having the idea I was going to stream, I started stockpiling them so I have them to do on stream. So I hadn't done them for probably about 3 months before last stream, and my thumbs and index fingers were just aching from holding the small plastic pieces so tightly. It's actually kind of funny. It reminds me a lot of whenever I try and pick up bass guitar again. So I actually, you'll probably see it in the background when I do my gaming stream, but I have a bass guitar sitting over in the corner. I've been on and off trying to get back into playing for the last couple of years. And every time it's just how much it makes my fingers hurt and deters me. One of the little fun things about it is like, it's really no wonder people have so much trouble like sticking with an instrument. It's because if you let off of it, even though, especially with like a guitar or bass guitar or that type of instrument, is that if you stop playing it for a certain amount of time, it literally just starts hurting you to get back into because you got to rebuild your calluses. Yeah, we'll see. I might wait till I work through most of my models because I imagine the calluses won't be pretty for a while on camera. Not that that's what I'm going for, but why cut off an avenue? E9. Yeah, as I mentioned, I kind of straightened out my desk a little bit more, which hopefully should make it more organized, where I don't spend as much time just looking for which sprue. Word I really enjoy saying. I don't know why. Sprue. It's just a fun word. B9. Not I was gonna ask you, Storyteller, I have a question for you. Well, what's the best way to communicate with you? Should I just message you through Twitch, or can I message you through Discord? C12. Where's that one? Oh, no, just in like a, yeah. I know you've helped out Shuts a lot with moderation stuff, and I just had a couple questions about that I wanted to ask you. Well, didn't know where was the appropriate place to do so. I don't need to do it on stream at all. No. I meant in private more than anything. Yeah. I think it's yeah, right there. Cool, thanks. I'll probably hit you up sometime after stream or tomorrow then. Assuming all the audio levels sound good while you're here. I tweaked those a bit. Shuts actually gave me a bunch of feedback, which is very much appreciated. Sweet, thank you. Yeah, it's nice. There's actually isn't too much cleanup involved in this if you're pretty careful with your cuts, especially with this one with how clean it cuts. That one I found a lot of this one I found a lot of times when I made the cuts with this one that were really close, the little tiny piece of plastic would just go flying. Whereas with this one, it very much seems to just sit on the blade. Makes cleanup a lot easier. Still, after stream, I went around in this desk and collected all the little pieces I missed, and there was actually quite a few. Yeah, seems good. Just... Do you have any recommendations for games, Storyteller? As I said, I'm kind of starting now, and I have a couple on the back burner, but I kind of want to save those because I have kind of like complementary plans around those I want to save until I have a bit of time to put more effort into them. Okay, I need to establish a system here so I'm not like double handling pieces. Okay, now on. This spot is just cut off the sprue. This cut is cut with the good pliers. And this spot's going to be after I do them with the X-Acto knife. That I'll use in a bit. Yeah, I guess that must be because they are two blades, so it's just putting so much more tension on the piece. Whereas this one is the one part, and the one this right one on this one is completely flat. So it's actually just pushing against that. So maybe the squish actually kind of makes it kind of stick to the blade a bit better. Oh yeah. I mentioned before, but I really like the Rumpelstiltskin fucking boots this guy has on. Or is that what I keep saying Rumpelstiltskin, but what I think I'm actually thinking of is Wizard of Oz, that scene where the like witch's legs curl up. I don't know why that makes me think of that. I think it's just the extreme part of the toe curl things you see in a lot of characters. Whenever I think of pointer toes, that always is kind of what comes to mind. No, Armored Core 6 is literally the one I have the most plans around, kind of. Because I actually have a couple of these plastic models of the Armored Core mechs, so I think I'm going to go through and do streams where I basically spend half of it building the mech and half of it playing the game. But I need to get through this model first before I can really start on that. And because I'll be doing that for a while, I kind of want to do a couple more of these other models to get more used to streaming first before I kind of dive into that. But it's been fun. I'm gonna be honest, I was super nervous and still am for sure, but I definitely get less nervous when I actually start streaming. It's mostly before I start. Oh yeah, that actually works really good. If I like plant my left elbow on the table, it's pretty much at the perfect like focal length. Yeah, so far at least this one is I've said I just launched that piece across the table because it slipped out of my fingers. I'll get that when I finish the rest of these pieces. Interesting. That's what I get for talking, but I guess that's kind of why I'm here. Yeah, I got Titanfall 2 I'll probably do for a stream or two to start. I want to get into the Oblivion remaster. Well, that's still kind of out because I love the first one. I was a Morrowind. I was super into Morrowind. Morrowind was the first one I played, but Oblivion was something, and I really appreciate the effort they seem to have gone to keep its jank intact among all the other stuff they did. But yeah, enjoy my empty desk while I crawl under it to try and find where that piece went. Thankfully, it was a colored piece, so it shouldn't be too hard to find, and it wasn't. Perfect. Yeah, I want to be. I'm gonna find. I actually saw some ones that you like basically more or less use like tension, like it was like rubber or paper tension. I forgot. I bought one of these, but the issue is only about like half the screws actually fit on it smoothly. And then even then, while you grab that, if you knock the other, like this one in particular actually works pretty good and is pretty solid. But like a lot of these ones where the shape is like uneven, they are like lopsided in weight, so they won't sit as well. So I wanted to try and use this and see how it is, but pegboard. You thinking maybe how like basically just lay the pegboard down face down and put the pegs on it and put the pieces in between the pegs is what you're thinking? Yeah, I had started exploring other options, but I didn't really get too deep. It came down to it, it actually seemed like the easiest way to, the best ones you can kind of make that I wanted to, where it used like tension to hold them more than anything, was seemed to be if you just make it yourself. Okay. Yeah, it's something to think about. As I said, I'm kind of just playing around with different systems. This isn't working too bad right now because I kind of have it laid out where it's just basically one or two letters in each pile. So I know if it's like starting to get a hang of where it is, then I only have like one or two screws to sort through. So it should help a little bit, but yeah, I definitely want to come up with a better solution. Hell, that's probably something will come up. As I said, I kind of want to use this for more than just this model building, and there's only so many plastic models I can build at the moment anyway. So when I start hitting the end of that, I'm probably going to start expanding out into other craft fields. So maybe making that will be part of it. Cool. So I think I'm done all those with the good clipper. And now to satisfy solely myself, I'm going to go over it with the X-Acto knife. Oh, and speaking of, I did use the command strip. Was it you who mentioned the command strips for the camera mount, right? I did do that. There was one hiccup with it though, as you might see from how unfocused the camera is every now and then. Is it has like a soft foam rubber bottom to it to try and stop it from slipping anyway. So because of that, it has a little wiggle. Like if I flick it, it wiggles. Like it's not moving anywhere, and that's great because it's not knocking my frame off at all. But definitely isn't completely sturdy. I might end up, when I have a bit more time, I might end up trying to strip that plastic part out, see what else I can put in there to act as a base. Hell, I could always just unscrew it from the base and attach it to a clamp of some kind too. That would always work. It's funny, I used to do the whole project with just these clippers. Like probably my first 2 models I built with just these as the tool. So you don't really need all this stuff I have to do any of this stuff. But I picked this up when I was actually on vacation, and I got super bored because like I was visiting family and I hung out with, they had like a couple day period where they all had other plans, so I was just kind of by myself and I got super bored. And I ended up picking up this model in particular. Is the one I had picked up for that, and I ended up building that while they were all out somewhere. And part of that is I picked up this knife specifically to try and help. So I remember this hadn't really done it as much, and I didn't have this on location, so I figured I'd just get another tool that I'd also use, and I'd have it to complement. And because of that, I've been using this ever since, and it actually works really good. It can cause way more damage to the pieces than the other like you kind of really have to not be paying attention to damage the pieces with this. It just doesn't make as clean a cut. Whereas this makes a nice clean cut if you're careful, but it'll also go way too deep or way too deep way too quickly. And as we've probably all mentioned and thought during this process, this is a way more dangerous than this. But I said, especially after that model, that one I definitely cut myself a couple times doing it. This one I was in. Ever since then, I've been way more cognizant of where the blade's going to be going, and it's helped me avoid that pretty much since. Was it you who asked me if I had watched the Gundam Wing anime Storyteller? So I actually ended up going back today and watching some of it. Here, I'll see if a couple more people show up, and I'll kind of go over it a bit more, but just so I'm not talking over it multiple times. But yeah, it's actually been kind of fun going back and forth to watching it. I kind of hem and haw whether to watch it subbed or dubbed, because I know my nostalgia is for the dub, because that's what I watched when I was a kid. But I usually almost 100% watch stuff in sub. But I looked it up, and there's kind of a split opinion on it. There's really no debate about which one is better. Like, people generally agree the sub is way better, but a lot of people seem to have, and I've kind of watching it, jumping back and forth between some of them, I kind of agree with them, have the opinion that the kind of like over, because they say like a lot of the voice actors, so they're like G.I. Joe voice actors, like Transformers voice actors, they're like American cartoon voice actors. And because of that, they do a lot of the background characters are really like over dramatic with their voice acting. But people pointed out that series is very over dramatic without any of that. Like early on, yeah, I'll mention it, this part. I don't mind mentioning again later, but there's a part immediately after where like he first comes across the main character like washed up on the beach in a spacesuit, and like upon waking up, he immediately stands up, detonates a bomb on his chest that fails to kill him, jumps up and runs at the ambulance. This is the girl called for him. Punches all the 3 paramedics out, drop kicks through the window and kicks another paramedic out, and then drives away in the ambulance. And in response to this girl like holds out her hand like she's at a ball, and is like, "My name is such and such. What is yours?" And that's the ambulance that's like screeching off into the distance. It's the most overdramatic shit. So I kind of don't mind if the voice acting's overdramatic if that's the type of show it's in. But the big complaint I hear a lot about it is one character specifically. Funny enough, culturally appropriate, not culturally appropriate, but appropriate. The pilot of the model I'm currently building has like a weird halfway point between like a California surfer bro and an Australian New Zealand accent. And apparently that gets really distracting when it gets to like the really dramatic scenes later on. But right now it's kind of great. Cause it's just kind of like a surfer bro who's just here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching through much of it. As part of kind of thinking about this, I looked into what there is out for it, and it's like there's a 50 episode anime. There's like a 4 episode OVA that's kind of like how each of the pilots got to where being a pilot, and then there's a 3-part OVA that also got done as a movie with extra footage that I'll probably end up watching the movie version of. Yeah, I plan to kind of watch through between 3 and 6 episodes of that every stream and talk about it on stream. I said I'll wait till a little bit later and do that. Yeah, it's nice. I'm kind of looking forward to using the stream as an outlet to talk more about like anime and manga, because I read so much manga, and I only have like 1 or 2 people in my life that I talk to about it. It's always nice to have more of a wider audience that might have actually experienced some of these things that other people haven't. Do you have a particular anime or manga you always recommended people, storyteller? I didn't really have a go-to recommendation for anime for a while, because most of my ones were kind of, I don't know, like as I mentioned, I started off with Haruhi Suzumiya, and a lot of the ones I like have weird aspects. Like I really like Tekatopa Gurlog, it's great. I really like Konosuba. Konosuba is probably one of my favorite comedies. Same with like Kaguya Loves War is another one of my favorite comedies. But all of them kind of aspects that kind of make me reluctant to recommend them, especially if I'm not quite sure of the person's anime taste. But recently, Frieren has been great for that. Frieren seems like a show I can recommend to even people who don't watch anime, and they'll love the hell out of it. I did mention going back and forth between the sub and dub stuff, and I did I always really enjoy that, going back and for the dub of an older series and seeing what else the characters did. This is always something I watched in my childhood, whereas like I haven't really consistently watched dubs for the last like 10 years probably. I think the only like recent thing I watched anywhere close to dubbed was Frieren and Chainsaw Man. And part of why I watched Chainsaw Man dub is because I saw the voice actors at the convention and they were kind of charming as hell, so I really wanted to kind of check out their work. Yeah, I went to a panel for Denji's voice actor at a convention, and for probably about half of the panel, the voice actor for Power was just in the audience heckling him. Oh, nice. I actually watched Cardcaptor Secure is probably up there as one of my earlier animes too, because that's another one I managed to watch on TV. That was actually probably right around the same period as Gundam Wing, so that's actually really relevant nostalgia. I had not thought about that series in forever. It's actually kind of funny. I always thought that with Cardcaptor Sakura, of like how, for especially it's kind of a weird because it's like a very girly style manga, but it plays to a lot of like shonen tropes for sure. And as far as I know, like a lot of guys I've talked about who are in anime have like fond memories of it. Like just specifically like the actual like finding all the, like, the card creatures really cool. Yeah, that was probably around the same time I was watching Gundam Wing on TV. The whole nostalgia thing. Yeah, on that same vent, I was talking about the like similar voice actors, and it is really funny how like the few voice actors that really stood out to me was that. Oh, hey Arthur, how's it going tonight? Came at a good time. We're talking about like anime voice actors. I was talking about how I've been recently as part of. I'll probably talk about it here in a bit, but I've been rewatching the Gundam Wing anime to go along with building these models, and was going back and forth on whether to watch the sub and dub. And while looking up the voice actors for stuff, it was neat finding like the most memorable voice actors definitely had the other roles I had heard of the most. Day's been going good, Arthur. Hope yours has been as well. Yeah, as part of that, it was actually the pilot of the model I'm building now does like a like California surfer bro / Australian accent in a way, and I was really curious what else he had done. And I looked it up, and it's the guy who had done basically all of Piccolo in the Dragon Ball dub, both the old dub and the new dub. And he was also did a bunch of the voice acting in the Beast Wars anime, specifically like really unique ones like Waspinator and like Dinobot, like the ones who really put on a voice. He did, so it was neat. It was funny thinking this is probably much closer to his natural accent than any of those other ones he did. Because he said it's kind of out of place. This is like surfer bro in the middle of this universe, but. Oh, like Dragon Ball's something else, man. Like Dragon Ball was the original anime that was kind of cool, way before literally any other anime was cool. Yeah, we're just working on the other leg to go with this model. Should be doing. So yeah, we cleaned all these pieces up, so now we can pretty much put them together. Let's make sure these are nice and focused. Put them together. Thanks, Kirito. So I mentioned this to Storyteller, but what's the one anime you usually recommend to people, Arthur? So I mentioned Storyteller mentioned Apothecary Diaries. I mentioned I didn't really have one until recently, and now it's always Freyrin, because Freyrin was so goddamn good. But wondering if you had one. Yeah, as I said, it's a question I didn't have an answer to until like literally Freyrin came out. but Faerun was just so well done, and it was like had so little like controversial parts of it that I made me hesitant to recommend it to someone. It's been such a good tool. Okay, let's go comedy then. So I mentioned the comedies I really like that I'm always kind of reluctant to recommend to people. So I really like Konosuba, and I really like Kaguya, Love is War. So I don't really have a good comedy recommendation for the general people. I heard Gintama is always good, but I never really sat down to watch it. I watched Ninja Joe. Ninja Joe was great. Am I missing a foot? I am missing a foot. Ah, let's build more. I have to build the interior of this foot first. Let's just set these pieces aside for now. H5. Drink some water. Remember to hydrate, everyone. Oh, I never actually checked out the anime for Grand Blue. Is the anime really well done? I read the manga for quite a bit, but I kind of fell off it at some point. First like chapter of Grand Blue is such a surreal experience sometimes. It seems like these people really shouldn't be okay with this, and like, oh no, just everyone's kind of okay with this. Okay. 20 and 21. Here we go. Yeah, but I don't know. It's weird. Konosuba gets me in the way like Always Sunny kind of gets me, where it's like it's humor that's kind of dumb at a certain point, but I just really like one of my favorite bits in that whole show is just Cosmo always responding to someone calling his name with "Yes, I'm Cosmo," or in Japanese, and it's just a funny little bit that gets me every fucking time. But yeah, you're right. It definitely. Yeah, it always is. Like, I don't think any of the seasons don't have at least one little bit that's worse than the rest of it. It's still good, but yeah, it's definitely like a step down in quality at parts. 3 and 4. A sign of affection. This is the issue I have with a lot of like English localization titles. Is I've probably read that as a manga and I just don't recognize it because of the Japanese title. So I'll probably have to look up what that is in Japanese before I say whether I know what that is or not. Dangerous in My Heart was another good recent like rom-com series. I really like that one. Especially for how like weird it comes off at first. It actually comes wholesome so goddamn quickly. Like it kind of impresses me more of like how off-putting it is initially for how heartwarming it eventually gets. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll kind of let you in on this, Kirito, but one of the things I'm kind of thinking of is for my channel point redeems when I get those is I'm probably gonna get a list together of manga. Just have me pick a random manga from this list to talk about for a little bit for one of my channel redeems. I've got like a treasure trove of just weird off the wall mangas I've built up over the years. I think my manga disc list is like over 800 at this point. Yeah, I'll probably post pictures of my manga shelf at some point, but it's getting pretty good. I haven't bought any in about a year now, just because I basically started spending money on these model kits instead. But I had most of Kaguya, most of Chainsaw Man, anything related to Fujimoto, I pretty much have. All his assistants. No, I shouldn't. It's reductive to call them his assistants, but yeah, I have like Dan to Dan, Spy Family, and Hell's Paradise, and everything. All the kind of people associated with and work through that I really like. Yubisaka Torenren. Huh, I actually don't recognize that. I'll actually have to look that in. That's actually fantastic. That's something I kind of hope from this too, is I would start getting recommendations for good stuff. Because there's just so much stuff going out that it's kind of hard, unless you have people you trust the opinion of recommending stuff. Not that I hate the trash, but I kind of like finding good stuff every now and then. You read as much manga as I do, you're going to read trash, so. Hell yeah, looking forward to it. It's actually over now. It was like a weird kind of short run, but You and I Are Polar Opposites was really good for while it was around. That was like a kind of recent like Shonen Jump rom-com they had. But I really like the characters in that one. There's always like, yeah. Kind of where I started in reading manga was in reading rom-coms, so I still have a really strong affection for a lot of them, so I still read a ton. Right now, the only things I think I'm watching are Rock is a Lady's Modesty and Orb. I think the only two I'm currently watching. I've heard of a couple good recommendations, but I haven't. As I said, how many people are here? That's pretty much just us. I'll be on. I don't know how much he wants to talk about it, but Shuts is pretty much the main person I watch anime with. And with him out of town for work, I haven't been watching as much. Oh yeah, To Be Hero X is the one where they looks a hell of a lot like Arcane, right? I heard that was good. I also heard there's like an action anime. I think is it Lazarus, where it's the Cowboy Bebop guy and the like fight choreographer from John Wick. Yeah, those two have been on my sites from other series. I've only been watching The Rock as a Lady's Modesty because I saw one clip of a voice actress absolutely killing it. And pretty much watching it for those moments alone. That's part of why I just love watching subbed animes, because I find it's way more common for the Japanese voice actors to just go so fucking hard. Not to say English voice actors don't, because there's absolutely examples of that. I just find it's way more common in like Japanese media for like background characters to give their fucking all. Part of I've been fucking talking about gacha games on stream already, but been playing a lot of Zenless Zone Zero. And part of that game that really fucking impressed me is like every one of the like one-off background and characters that get voiced is just someone actually either doing a really good, respectable job or just going ham into a character. Yeah, the voice acting in that game was really what impressed me originally. Voice acting and the music. The music is so goddamn good. Very few like proper not free-to-play games have impressed me as much as they have for the music in that game. Thank you fucking Wales for funding that shit. Not me. Yeah, as I said, I only started playing ZZZ probably in like November. But I've been enjoying it so far. I'm at the point in an hour I literally play it for like 15 minutes in the morning and that's it. But whenever they add new content, I play through it and it's generally an enjoyable time, so. Of course you are. I never really tried it. Heard it's good, but what is the gameplay style in that? So I've been trying some of Honkai Star Rail recently, and I really like the combat in that, but everything else around it didn't get me as much as ZZZ did. Which I was actually really surprised to find out that's like kind of their game. I always kind of pictured Hoyo versus being carried by Genshin, but apparently like Honkai is what actually pays their bills and like has fans. But is it like a turn-based combat? Is it like live action combat? I saw that. I have like no affinity for Fate. I think I remember when gacha games like first starting to come out here in the West. I remember trying Fate Go, and it just completely indecipherable to me. Okay, so kind of similar to Genshin. I guess Genshin is more Breath of the Wild than anything else, but I kind of that's. Oh, I still love how when I first saw Genshin, it was just so flagrant how much of Breath of the Wild they poured into that. Yeah, like all the characters are based on like figures in history. I don't know their actual justification for that, but yeah. Well, it's either it's that it has that, but it also has like a lot of the characters are just named what their class is, like Saber and Archer. So I don't know how those two facts, because there is stuff like Gilgamesh and like historical rulers or the names of some of the characters. But yeah, I'm not all that familiar with it. I pretty much only watched like Giga stuff about Fate, and I actually didn't retain much of the actual character stuff in that. Yeah, hope everyone's having a good night. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hoping I'll probably gonna try and get this leg done and get the chest built and put on there. And then we'll see where we're at for time then. If you have enough time, I might try and put the arms on. If we don't, I might just do some, excuse me, some panel lining work on that with some of my paint markers. Start showing that off a bit. The problem with the Fate series is, as far as I understand, the original source material they're all based on is an arrow gay. So it's kind of hard. Yeah. Oh, god damn it. Ah, maybe you can look this up for me, Arthur. There. I know next season is stacked as hell, but I keep forgetting what a bunch of the series are. I know Dandan in season 2 is next season. I know Panty and Stocking's like second thing is out next season. But there's like 2 other series that were huge that were coming out that were both sequels, and I can't remember what they were. Welcome, Chaster. How are we doing tonight? The problem with Kaiju 8 is I read the manga, and the manga got real boring at a point. So I'm kind of reluctant to watch it, even though I hear the adaptation's good. It's one of the... No, I drop a lot of manga. I shouldn't try and put it on front. I drop a lot of manga. Usually because I just forget to keep up with the weekly releases, and then, especially for like officially licensed stuff, it just drops off the internet for a while there. Call Knight Season 2, that's the other one. And Sakamoto Days too. Yep, those are the 2. Thank you. We still haven't finished the first season of Sakamoto Days. We gotta go back and do that. It's actually a good reminder. Take note, Jaster. Yeah, Call of Night's a big one. I still love how, like, almost directly responsible that series is for bringing Creepy Nuts into making anime music, and they've been hyper successful at it ever since. Just because some random manga author wanted to title his manga after one of your songs. But yeah, it blew me away though, like 1-2 punch of Bling Bling Born and Otonoke. Like amazing how they managed to have like both contenders for top opening of the season of the year. Oh, I'm not gonna shit on other people's opinions and stuff, but I didn't like Shield Hero even a little. But that's because I kind of read like so many other. I've read so many variations of that same Isekai story, and it's so refreshing when what is the series that does it best? Oh, it's one of those funny things where I can't remember the proper title for. Oh, the proper title is I was reincarnated as a sword, but I always would just call it Sword Dad. And that one's great because the first whiff of slavery that comes up in the series, the main character just immediately kills the slavers. It was like, oh, this is so refreshing in SK not to have to deal with accepting slavery bullshit. I love it. I love the moment of just like, oh, you're a slaver and that's your slave contract? Well, I'm gonna immediately cast fire magic on that slave contract and cut your head off. 1 and 2. It's also just refreshing to have like a generally like wholesome relationship, like parental relationship in one of those series after all the weird fucking ones. I've heard of it. I don't know. I have a weird pickiness for trash in a way. I think I gave the manga that a couple episode shots. That does not surprise me even a little bit, storyteller. I think we're all teamed up, are we? Oh, this one's good. I don't know. One of the things I kind of like with just how many like low, like just because the there's like the proper professional manga industry, but there's also just like the fan online manga industry, and the lines between those have really started to become blurred more as time goes on. And because of that, you're just getting insane stuff from like the fan community that you would never get published. But even outside of that, I love how they've like created like the whole villainous reincarnation genre. I love how all of those are essentially based on the like back arena one or whatever it's called. I don't remember the actual proper title for it, but they're basically all based off a one specific manga slash anime, and the game that one is aping isn't a real game. It's just all the details of that game is made up for that manga, but every other one based on that type of genre use those exact same details in their game they base everything on. So it's weird. There's no actual original game any of these are referencing. I haven't. ReZero is one I kind of have on my back burner of I know it's really good, so I'll kind of, when I run out of like curly airing stuff, to go back to watch. But as I said, I haven't been watching a whole lot recently. Mostly, actually, I don't know if Jaster's still here, but he's who I'm watching Orb with. Orb was great. Yeah, Orb's fantastic. It definitely gives me Vinland Saga vibes, but I enjoyed Vinland Saga way more, but that's not saying much. Vinland Saga was fantastic. I especially love where it goes in the manga. Like, I actually really like that series. We've played with the idea of showing Oshinoko to Jaster. I don't think we've ever actually done it. It's actually been on our mind to show it to him a couple times, but my motivation for doing that kind of fell off with how the manga ended, so. I kind of feel bad because, as I said, I was a huge fan of the author for that, through because he did Kaguya Love is War, and I really enjoyed that. But Kaguya kind of didn't end the best it could have ended, and Oshinoko ended very poorly. So he's got the reputation he can't finish the series properly. The one in front of me is a bunch of Gundams. I actually looked it up earlier. This one is done by, oh, I can't remember the artist's name, but it's basically a bunch of Gundams that are like battle damaged. Let me quickly switch to my wide camera and you can kind of see it a little better. Yeah, it's basically all the Endless Wing Gundams side by side, but they're all like heavily battle damaged and done in a very like sketchy style. I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it on the Discord after stream. But it's I really like it. And this one I actually did look it up. This is done by Alexander Sebastian Kwan, and they're both prints I picked up at anime conventions. But yeah, I really love the Chainsaw Man print. Yeah, it was so annoying. Yeah, I'll post a picture of that later on Shetz's Discord. I kind of think until I get it a little more established, I'll probably just live in the walls of his Discord for a while, but. Actually, probably the easiest thing is I'll probably just ask him to if it'd be cool if I make a channel on his Discord. I don't really think I need to make one of my own just yet, but it'll probably be something I make in the future. But I do have a Twitter and a YouTube, as you can see on the bottom there. Oh, and I'll go back to my desk so you can actually see what I'm working on. Yeah, I do have a Twitter there that I'll post about random stuff. And the YouTube is, right now, it's just going to be stream VODs. Eventually, I'll start working on some more edited videos and put up there, because it's kind of something I want to get into. I'll drink some water. Hey, this is an opportunity. I've been trying not to brag about my luck because I've had really good luck recently, and someone else I know who played has had really bad luck, so I'm trying not to brag about it. But yes, I've had excellent luck recently. I recently came up to my first 300 pull guaranteed character pity thing where you can basically pick which character you want from all the freely available heroes. And I only had 2 of those left, so I was kind of hemming on hawing which of them to get. And I ended up on pull 299, I got one of them, so I was able to just pick the other for my 300th pull. And I got Vivian. I think I ended up having. I was lucky. I was pretty deep into pity at the start of this banner, but I got Rena right off the bat. But I managed to get Vivian after only about another 20-30 pulls. Yeah, it's been fucking lucky. I've been generally. I've gotten unlucky. Hey, thanks for the follow, Valdi. Or Valday, maybe? However you wish to pronounce it. Yeah, I think the only characters I pulled for and didn't really get are Lighter, and I had to go really deep to get Trigger. Yeah, I think I had to pretty much go the full 80 pulls to get Trigger, so I didn't even have a chance to do any rolls on Zuon. So those 2, I think, are the only 2 I had an opportunity to roll for and haven't gotten. Well, day, nice. Welcome, welcome. Let me fix my hair here for a moment. Yeah, I'm just putting together a master grade Gundam Deathscythe model I've had for a little bit. Oh, pretty good. I did. This is actually only my second stream, and this is what I accomplished on my first stream. Is I got the waist part and one of the legs done. So I'm just starting to work on the second leg now, and I'm gonna try and do that in the chest this stream. And once I've done that, I'll see where I am, and if I have time, I'll do the arms, and if not, I'm just probably gonna do some panel lining on some of my other models to finish off. Hell yeah, thanks, Valday. Have a second foot. Start on a leg. It's not super focused there, but I'd rather have it focused where I'm actually working than on the ground. You guys don't really care about these instructions all that much. Let's grab some leg pieces. $15 and $14. Which have already been cut from this one, so I'm gonna grab them from the other one. 15 and 14. Yeah, but now that we have a couple more people here, I can actually ask. I'm mention again. I'm planning to actually do my first gaming stream tomorrow night as well. And I was kind of hemming and hawing on what to play. I really do want to get into Oblivion's remaster at some point here soon. I actually kind of figured just to try and stick to be thematically appropriate, I'm gonna play through the Titanfall 2 campaign. That'll probably take me a stream or two, so I'll probably start it tomorrow night, the usual time I start, 6 p.m. Mountain. And then I'll probably play it all night and then finish it up on Sunday. Fuck no. No Roblox for you. Once again, requires a bribe. Yeah, the Oblivion remaster. I mentioned earlier, but I love how much care they seem to have put in to keep all the jank. Like, from the sounds of it, it's literally just like a graphics engine running on top of the original engine, with a couple tweaks here, there, and other aspects. Mostly UI focused. But unlike certain other streamers, I don't have thalassophobia. So if you want me to play Subnautica, I'll probably play that at some point. I did see what you're saying in the Discord, by the way, even though I didn't respond. Once again, in the walls. Yeah, it was when I saw they specifically left some of the like the voice acting line where the actor like, oh no, let me do another take in the middle of it, and did another take. They left that in the entirety and added a little animation on the character where the character like looks down when the character says he's gonna do another take, like look as if they were looking at a script. Oh, it was that one in the test NPC where it's just Todd Howard saying a bunch of shit as he goes into different emotions. Yeah, I'm a long time Bethesda fan. I played Oblivion on the Xbox One, the original Xbox rather, not the X. I hate their naming system, but yeah, I played it on the original Xbox, Morrowind. And then I played Oblivion when it came out on the 360 on release. I've been a fan ever since the Morrowind for sure. Yep, indeed, correct. But Oblivion is kind of the odd child of that the trio of Elder Scrolls games for me, though. So I played a shit ton of Morrowind, played a bunch of Oblivion, and then I played a shit ton of Skyrim. So Oblivion's definitely the one I played the least of the three. Yeah, I didn't even touch Starfield. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on Starfield. I actually haven't really put my thoughts to it and why it didn't appeal to me in any way. Oh, while I have you here, chaps, I gotta ask. I've been playing a bunch of Warframe recently. Did the bosses ever not become bullet sponges in that? Or are they literally always bullet sponges forever? That's been the really annoying part of it, is I don't really enjoy doing any of the boss fights because I have to sit there holding the trigger for like 10-15 minutes. Not all the bosses for sure, but like there's that weird one where it was like 3 infected tentacles coming out of the ground that took me so goddamn long, and I hated every second of it. Oh, okay, that's kind of understandable. I think I'm like a rank or 2 behind where you are. I just got to I don't remember which it is, Neptune or Uranus, whichever one you get to first. I haven't gotten to the other one of those two, but I just got to one of them. Yeah, I just hit gold novice. I don't remember what the number is for it. It's like 2 ranks behind yours, I believe. Or it might be 3 now if you just got one. I checked a couple days ago. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. As I said, I'm kind of running out of motivation to play it all that much. I'm getting echo here, sorry. I'm not super enjoying, like, as the difficulty goes up, I'm enjoying the gameplay less and less as I have to. I know there's some fun in the builds, but all the build stuff being tied to like real life time kind of also sucks. But I know it's a free to play game thing, but just a bunch of factors working against it for me at the moment. But yeah, I'm like almost done leveling up my second Warframe, I think, and I have like 2 others unlocked after that. I do like the movement in that game and how if you really want to, you don't really have to do anything to do with combat. If you just want to get to the objective, you can totally just run the fuck away. Oh yeah, I've definitely been relying on their official wiki a ton to figure out what the fuck I'm actually supposed to do with some of the stuff I'm getting. Because there's like no information about it in the game. Although from what I've seen, like their like global chat seems to have like a pretty good integrated bot that actually like reports drop rates and stuff to you of items and where to get it. In terms of games, that's mostly what I've been doing. That is a couple of dailies and gacha games and some Warframe. Welcome, Gunzanda. Thanks for coming by again. Yeah, the community seems really good, but play seems very grindy, which especially in like a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter, I guess. A shooter in general, grindy tends to be bad for me. For some reason, I don't mind grindy in like a roguelike, but in that type of game, in like a straight up just shoot people to progress, it isn't as interesting to me. In terms of other off-stream games I've been playing, really hasn't been a lot. I tried Nubby's Number Factory, which is interesting. I got like a lot of stream attention a couple weeks ago, but I haven't heard much about it since. That one is basically, if you're familiar at all with Balatro, how Balatro is kind of like roguelike poker, Nubby's Number Factory is roguelike Peggle. It's got a very like faux 90s GUI design on computers style that's like super deep fried is the term I see used for it online. But it's neat, it's fun. Once again, everyone, thank you for joining. Oh, holy shit, that's like the first time I looked at the time. Going for like an hour. Just getting yapping. That's how it be. Yeah, I was kind of thinking of maybe picking up a like action RPG again. I heard Path of Exiles. I played. I don't think I can go back and play Diablo again. I've gone back and played like 4 or 5 seasons of Diablo, and I don't think I can just do it again. So I was thinking about trying Path of Exile 2. I heard that was really good when it came out. But I also haven't really heard anything about it since Elon Musk being good at it. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Hell yeah. I don't know if you're still around there, Arthur, but did you finish the Call of the Night Mega? Because that was a series that, even if the ending was super vague, I actually kind of liked it. Suppose I can clip these first, make this a bit easier on myself. I'll get this order of operations down one of these days. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to get to the arms today, I don't think. But that's not bad. As I said, I kind of wanted an excuse to kind of show off some of the panel lining stuff I've been doing. That doesn't take nearly as much time. And honestly, I've kind of been using this model as my like test dummy for a lot of techniques for doing that, so I'm not too worried about messing it up. The nice thing for a lot of this stuff is you can actually remove it pretty easily if I need to. When it's still wet, you can literally just rub your finger on it and that'll remove it. Excuse me for a second. Oh yeah, I was talking about it a bit earlier, but I guess I can continue talking about it now. When I was looking up a lot of the voice actors for the Gundam Wing anime, I had mentioned that the kind of like California surfer dude, Australian mixed voice actor who pilots the model I'm currently building was voiced by Piccolo and a bunch of characters from Beast Wars. Yeah, there's definitely it's that's the thing is like you can't exactly treat these like you treat a straight up action figure or like a all in one piece figure because there's a lot of little detail pieces and spots that if you just happen to put pressure on at the right angle, it will pop right off. Generally, if I have pieces that are very prone to that, I haven't done it, but I'm planning to start applying a small amount of glue, and that should help keep those pieces in parts, because I've only ever lost one piece, and I've been lucky, and thankfully it was like under another piece in the back on a booster, so I didn't really have to worry about it too much. But I'd still like to avoid that in the future, so it's something I'm going to consider doing. I'm also really reluctant to glue any of these models, because I've definitely seen a lot of like custom kits that involve kind of like taking parts off and like putting lighting under and behind different parts. And there's some of that, if I ever want to get into that, I kind of wanted to not have limited options, especially from what I've heard. A lot of like the plastic glues you can use for stuff like this is pretty permanent. Done. Speed it. Get some more parts done before I start putting them together. I remember part of the problem I always have with these legs is I start trying to assemble them before I have all the like pieces I need to keep stuff on rails. So I'm gonna go ahead and work ahead a little bit first. H6. Oh yeah, but I was like, not a bad thing, but like, I'm coming back to that voice actor discussion. The two other kind of standout, like good voice actors I definitely noticed in that series is like the two like villain characters are both really well done voice acting. And there's like the ace pilot character and then like the enemy general character. And they're both really well done in their voice acting. And I looked up who they were, and it was, one of them was Vegeta from the English dub, from Dragon Ball. And the other one was, oh, I'm blanking now. Oh, he's basically the only guy. He's the main guy who does Megatron outside of like Frank Welker, the original Megatron. It's neat. They both the guys who were really good voice acting in the series both had quite a pedigree. So it makes sense. For H7. Yeah, I always find it really enjoyable going back. Well, I usually do it for the Japanese voice actors because I'm much more familiar with Japanese voice actors than I am with English dub voice actors. As I mentioned, I haven't watched dubs consistently in decades, or a decade. But yeah, it's neat looking up and seeing what else roles it in, especially for a nostalgia show like Gundam. Very much, it was like every other series I recognized was a nostalgia show. Yeah, I definitely have plans to go back and play. As I mentioned, Titanfalls 2 is probably going to be my... Oh yeah, that's for sure, storyteller. I definitely have much more affinity, like recognize like voice actor names and recognize voice actors now than I did when I was a kid, for sure. Just because I suppose I had the internet, but it just really wasn't nearly as developed as it was now. But definitely didn't have a tiny computer in my pocket I could look up information at any time. Yeah, Titanfall 2 is probably gonna be my first game. I have some plans for Armored Core. I think there's only two real mech games I have any desire to play. There was a Gundam game recently, but from what I saw of it, it seemed like it was more just a skin shooter than an actual like mech game. So I don't know if I'll check that out. I don't know. Once I go through Armored Core 6, I might seriously start considering looking at getting a cheap PS2 from somewhere and going back and playing my childhood Armored Core and 2. I guess I could always go reverse chronological order because I'd have to get 5, but I have 4 upstairs with my Xbox 360. I could definitely play 4. 4 is hilarious too because it's they basically took all the speed of those games and turned it up to ridiculous. Like I think I remember showing Jaster a clip of it, and it was like there's like a little speedometer on the side, and it just shows your character go from like 0 to like 600 kilometers per hour in like half a second. Literally, like you literally just hold down the boost button and go. It like looks like those like going through a drug tunnel effects they have a thing where everything just kind of like curls around your character and you can't really tell what's going on. Hmm. Hmm. I'm not gonna say anything about that now, but that was worrying something I noticed, and we'll see if it comes about anything later. For now, no spoilers. Yeah, it's been fun. This is the fifth one of these models I've made, and I want to think I got generally better at them as I've gone, but I've definitely learned things. Still, always make mistakes. Doubly so when you're distracted, but it is what it is. Happy accidents and all that. Nice and smooth and clean. So I'm not going to worry about the discoloration on these pieces too much because they're internal components that will generally not be seen. And if it comes down to it and they end up being exposed and being seen, I can always paint them later. Hell yeah. That's kind of why I wanna, when I do expand my crafting ambitions a bit, I probably end up doing some like miniature painting for Warhammer models. I know like a lot of the dry brushing techniques for that is really good for like applying weathering on this type of models, weathering and like battle damage. I also I've seen some really nice techniques for like uh yeah, actually I'll grab it now, might as well. Give me 1 second. From the background. Ugh. This is another one of my figures. And an iconic thing a lot of the Gundam figures have, especially the like older style models, is a lot of the like blade weaponry is heat blade weaponry. So the blades are supposed to like glow red. And I've seen some really nice painting effects for like this part on it, where it makes it look like it's glowing way more effective than just like clear plastic pieces like this do. Yeah, but that one I just showed you was Sandrock. And yeah, all of these Gundam models I currently own are from the same series, specifically the Gundam Wing movie Endless Waltz. Yeah, that one was Sandrock. I've got Heavy Arms and the Wing Zero prototype in front of me, and the one just above my head that I can't tell if you can really. Oh yeah, you can see him pretty well. That's the Talgeese. That's probably my favorite mech from that series. And it's funny because it's mostly just a super upgraded version of the like grunt mech that the enemy ace pilot drives. More specifically, it's I actually this is something I wasn't aware of because I had forgotten it, but rewatching the series I learned it's like, oh no, this is like the prototype mech that like all the grunt mechs are based off. They just like tuned it way down so it was less expensive. Yeah, I figure I might as well demonstrate that, show off all my models while I'm here. Yeah, this one is the Talgeese. I have him in a little more of an action-oriented pose. But yeah, this is probably my favorite mech from the Gundam Wing series. This is the one that basically the enemy ace pilots. And it's kind of, like, I don't know, it's something I've heard about, but this is the only series where I really experienced it, where they do a really good job with their villains in these series. Kind of makes them relatable. It's always kind of nice when you have a villain you're rooting for, because it's like, yeah, I just use a really good version of the base mech and I'm beating your like special custom made Gundams. It makes it easy to root for both sides. Yeah, it's always more engaging when you kind of are also rooting for the villain in scenarios. Okay, I think. Oh, let's get 2 more of these pieces cut, and then I should be good to start putting it together. As I said, I kind of usually I don't do this many pieces all at once because I start losing place of which ones I have actually processed. And I kind of, especially with pieces that are both like similar, like this one, I kind of got to look at the instructions real hard to make sure I'm orientating them right. But in this case, I remember especially even on that last leg I did, I had kind of trouble assembling it because I had to cut and process pieces in the middle of assembly, and hopefully with them all done, it'll make it go smoother. I did mention it last stream, but it's one of the aspects of this like high. I really need to pick up a high grade just to make sure I'm not talking about my ass on this topic. But at least what I remember of the high grade models from when I built them when I was a kid, they didn't have as nearly as much like detail in the like interior exoskeleton of the system. Like honestly, when I'm building these legs, probably about 75% of the time I spend building them is just getting the exoskeleton bit built together, and everything else is just kind of slapping armor plates on top of it. A leg joint, ankle joint specifically. 7. Yeah, one of the nice things too I haven't really taken advantage of is like all of these stands have like slots on them, and I don't have one on them, but they basically have little like extension platforms you can put on them. So you could absolutely interlock like 2 or 3 of these stands all together to make dioramas. It's something I might explore when I have more of these models on hand. Need to start putting them closer together. Should be good. Well, let's start assembly. Put this thigh into this side of the knee. Is that right? Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, there's a lot of little pegs here. You gotta make sure are aligned properly before you push them all the way in. Otherwise, it's really hard to do. Knee in here. Attach this piece first. Right here. Goes, yeah, it's. Yeah, nice. Should work. Oh, I almost fucked that up. That's on the inside, not the outside. There we go. Yeah, it's this put together part because there's a very shallow pin right on this piece, and that has to go in a very shallow, like you can see it's not even really a hole, it's just kind of an indent on the side right there. Yeah, you can see it. It's very easy to pop out of that. If I try and force fit it with it not in that indent, it'll kind of jam up and stop the other pins from going in all the way. So I have to be very careful at this stage. Keep this nice, tight, which is hard. Started. Yeah, now that it's started, I can, as I squeeze it in, I can make sure it's seated properly. Yeah. Hell yeah. I think that's been smooth. Yeah, nice and tight. Yeah, I think on my other one, there was a little gap there because it was slightly misaligned. I had to force it in place to get rid of that gap. But that's good. Nice and smooth. Just tests. Yeah. It's funny. It's actually really nice. It's not visible at all in the camera, but a lot of these rails where pins are sliding in, they're actually slightly tighter at certain points. So it, specifically this one, like this one is actually kind of really tight right now. Like it has a lot of resistance, but once you get it out of that tight point, it slides really easily. But at that start, so it kind of lets you make rigid poses really easily. Not that it really needs that. You can still achieve the poses you can do when it's a little loose, but it's nice. Yeah, let's get these other pieces in here. Voila. Interior workings of a leg. Oh, nice. Actually start using some of these pieces I accidentally cut out yesterday. Or Sunday, rather. But yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I figure I'll reiterate it for anyone who's just joining us. I'm got my stream schedule semi figured out. I'm gonna be doing Gundam building on Tuesdays and oh, I've got the hiccups. Fantastic. Tuesday and Thursdays will be Gundam building, And in the middle of the week in between the building, I'll be doing a gaming stream on Wednesday and another gaming stream on Sunday, probably. I might flex that Sunday one, maybe do more model building depending on what I'm working on. But yeah, that seems like what I'll be trying to start. So, and I'll be doing Titanfall 2's campaign tomorrow on my stream. So I'd be happy if any of you could join me. Yeah, I'll probably start off doing a couple rounds of the multiplayer Titanfall 2 because I do really enjoy playing the multiplayer in that. Even still, it went away for a little bit, but then they once the private alternative started getting popular enough, they brought it back. Surprisingly, what neat how that works, eh? It was dead for a while there, but I remember when I last tried to play it about a year ago, I actually managed to find games pretty quickly. Yeah, white's probably the piece I worry about working with the least because like even I went pretty deep on that cut and it did mar it, but it's really hard to see white on white. Cut the other side of those ones. What number is that? Oh, it's H. Okay. There. I learned actually probably after my first model with these sprues is you do have to pay a little attention on where the connection points are. Because like here specifically, if I had left this one to last, I would have to like hold it like this to cut it. Whereas if I leave these two, the ones that are farther away from the edge, I can grip the piece right there and snip it like this really easily. Eee. These vent covers. Yeah, I usually try and make sure I have a good grip on the piece before I make that final cut. Otherwise, there's a tendency for them to go flying across the room. Hmm. Working on some interior calf muscles. I do find it really funny how like, okay, yeah, here's the mechanism part. Now we need to put the armor plates on, so let's put some calves on it. Good. Just a little bit covers. Oh, jeez. See, that's the risk. Oh, almost lost it. Yeah, rounded pieces are the special nemesis. Nemesis. It's really hard to get a good grip on them. topics. If I prepared topics, I mean the things I thought about an hour before stream. I'll dig some stuff up there and break, and it'll be good. Yeah, streaming's been fun. I actually think I've enjoyed a lot of the like behind the scene work stuff, particularly more though. I've always kind of wanted to mess around with like video editors and image editors and getting decent at those. And it's actually given me excuses, something to work on specifically to achieve that. That was always kind of my problem, is I didn't really have anything to work on specifically, and I didn't really have any good ideas for stuff to come up with. But now I have an excuse to edit videos and make images, so it's been fun. Oh, it could for sure, but as I said, it's a lot of that would honestly just slow me down. Like, it's the ability to just quickly rotate it to a different piece I need to cut. I wouldn't have that same ability to feel so much if I was holding it. That's the reason I don't use, like, I have little magnetic clips that you can hold them with while you do this stuff, but I don't know. I find having the tactile feeling on your hands to be able to rotate pieces, and as I said, I use the like edge of my finger a lot to feel how smooth a piece is, so it seems like it would burn up a lot more time if I tried to do something like that. See how snappy that is. Nope, no snap at all. That's the thing with these friction feed pieces, because it is essentially just a lot of it is going into like a slightly narrower slot, keeping it in place. There's not a whole lot of actually like snapping sounds because it's slowly tightening into a slot. It was hilarious because I had seen like a bunch of videos of where people like specifically edit their build videos in time lapse with like snapping sound effects as they snap stuff together, and then I'd seen those long before I had started doing these models. Then I got it and it was like, that was edited. I've been lied to. Because most of the parts don't make that snapping noise. There's some neat one of those though. I saw one specifically where he actually like makes music out of his. He does like an ASMR like cutting the pieces out of the sprues video, but then actually like puts a beat to the sound of the snaps he adds in. Like he uses he does the time the snaps properly to where he's making the snaps, but then he adds extra music as like a song around it. Where am I now? Putting some plates on finally. Yeah, figure I'll finish putting this leg together and get it on that model, and then we'll take a break. Figure I still got another 10-15 minutes before that though. Three and four. I think I ended up what getting me back into buying these. I think I got one recommended to me on Amazon that was super cheap, and it made me nostalgic for when I built the lower grade models earlier before. So I gave it a try. It was a lot of fun. And then I quickly learned like any of these Gundams you buy on Amazon, they like up. It's literally the default price is like 20% higher than if you just go to a hobby store and buy it. So that's what I've been doing ever since. There's like a good local one that delivers I've been using a lot. Yeah, local definitely seems the way to go for a lot of this stuff. Even ordering, like, a lot of the pre-order stuff you can do overseas, but oh, that's not even an option anymore, unfortunately. But I haven't really even tried to buy anything from overseas in the current environment. I'm worried because I got some like fan merch that I pre-ordered last year that's coming out this year, and I hope it doesn't really screw the artist. So I don't really want to pay 200% fucking stuff to China, but I'm also not American, so I got that going for me at least. Oh, I got some anime open stuck in my hand right earlier, and I couldn't remember what it was. Oh, that's why I was having trouble remembering what it was, because it's like the upbeat part of Cruel Angel's Thesis, not like the singing part. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, I just feel horrible. Like I have a Ita bag on pre-order from someone for going to conventions, and the timing was horrible because they had like a super successful like pre-order campaign like a month before all the tariffs kicked in. It felt so bad seeing them talk about it at the time. Yeah, they haven't really said anything about it, so I'm hoping they really don't get screwed by the tariffs too bad. So I really don't. I really don't want to cancel it on them, especially because it's like pre-order stuff. I don't like. I wouldn't cancel the original order at all. I just don't know if I can pay 200% on that object. So I hope if worst comes to worst, they can like hold on to it until the tariffs go away or some shit. But I guess holding stuff costs money too. Rough fucking world. Yeah, exactly. Because I know it's not their fault. I absolutely don't want to screw them over, but I also don't really want to pay 200% for extra for an item that I might not have to pay 200% extra for an item in a couple years. In this case, though, it is a like handmade, custom-made item. So, well, not handmade, but it's custom designed by this person. So that work alone would make me definitely a lot more forgiving about paying more than I've already paid by amount. But yeah, this is gonna be a rough con season for me, actually. I'm used to actually it's basically saving up my money and splurging on artists during the con, but I'm not gonna be able to do that this year as much. think I'll make a concentrated effort to talk to more artists and tell them I like their work this year and try to make up for it. Because usually I just try to save my words with my money. Okay, get some of these armor plates on here. Oh, that one kind of snapped. Oh no, that was the rest of the model creaking because I was pushing so hard. 'An ankle. It is time. Build an ankle. I kind of love how, like, in sake of making everything very articulated, it straight up just broke these models down to like recognizable body parts like ankles and knees. Seven, eight. 7, 8. Correct. Yeah, I think I'll probably, when I first come back from my break, I'll probably start going over the Gundam Wing episodes I saw. 'Cause I saw the first 3 ones, and there's a couple things I noticed I want to talk about. I mentioned a couple of them, like the voice acting and that one model. That's my favorite model. Having some stuff about it I didn't know. But there's a couple other things I figured I'd mention, so I'll go over when I get back from that break. But let's get this leg done first. Been watching much non-animated television storyteller. I really fell off of watching much of that when Game of Thrones shut down my throat. So kind of been looking for excuses to maybe get back into it. I've heard Succession is really good. I've heard Succession is good. Honestly, a lot of the shows kind of blend together in my head now because they all have kind of generic titles. Or maybe my sense of titling is just way off from watching anime. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to check out some of the older Gundam too, probably. I think once I finish Wing, that's probably what I'm gonna go through. I vaguely looked at like Seed and actually the most recent Gundams like Witch and Mercury and the current one G-Cux or G-Cux. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that properly. But those are both supposed to be pretty good, so I might check those out actually. More modern art style might help because Gundam Wing is definitely an old ass anime. Like even the action scenes, while not bad, don't look great. A little more. Got these pieces right here. Oh, that was battle damage, as you said. Cool. That appears to be an ankle done. Drink some water. Okay, ghosts. Wait, Matlock, is that like the 80s series Matlock? Is it like that Matlock, or is it a new version of that? Oh, what is this? Oh, yeah. Oh, just one more thing. That's literally the only thing I remember from Matlock is him saying that a billion times. So he'd always like act like he was gonna leave and then like turn around and say one more thing and then blow up whatever their alibi was. Where are you? There you are. Oh, it is Colombo. You are correct. Matlock was the oh, it wasn't Rodney Dangerfield, but it was kind of the same vibe. Kind of like the older guy. I'll have to look it up during my break to make sure I'm thinking of the right thing. Because I could be thinking of yet another third mystery show. You are absolutely correct. Yeah, oh, it was Andy Griffith. Okay, yeah, that would line right up with what I'm thinking of. Oh, that was. Yeah, that's actually him I'm thinking of because that was absolutely my childhood was watching like Andy Griffith show in Gilligan Island, like black and white on TV before school. Because my parents were old, so I watched old television. I think it was supposed to be late night television. It's just we were on a different coast from where it was actually airing from, I think. So it ended up being early morning for us. Yeah, that was my before school television was Dylan Isle, Andy Griffith the Show, and Gomer Pyle. Yeah, these really thin pieces are always hard because I like to usually push the blade against the piece a bit to make sure I'm getting it in deep enough. With these thin pieces, it just causes the piece to bend away from where the blade is. Be really careful where I grab onto it, kind of brace it with the side with my finger. Oh, must have just a straight up different station then. Because when I grew up, I was extra EST. I was Atlantic. Extra hour past EST towards the east. I think there's only a tiny bit of Maine in the States. It's in that time zone. The only other parts of it are in Canada. The old Atlantic time zone. It probably wouldn't be. I've heard it recommended as a good tool to use. I have a couple of these like sanding grit sticks that I've also heard have been really good, but I find it's really hard to get the piece you want to grind down without marring the surrounding surface. So that's why I've generally been relying on the blades like I have been. I'm always down for suggestions though, so keep them coming if you ever have ideas, because I've only come across what I've had kind of through trial and error, what works for me, so there's always could be something else out there that would work better. We're on the home stretch here for this leg. The hip joint now. PC9. Down here. And 17. Yeah, it's definitely taking me longer to work on these when I'm on stream, but I actually don't mind that as much. It's actually a good sign that I'm going even slower, because it means I'm actually engaged in the conversation. Oh, yeah, a glass file would actually probably work really well. That's specifically designed to not like mar the surrounding surface at all. That might be something to look into. Yeah, as I said, I mentioned earlier, I am really looking forward to kind of maybe getting into painting Warhammer figures. That seems like it really would be really relaxing and fun as well. I just got to find an alternative because at least at the time, last time I painted Warhammer figures, the like official brand paints were ridiculously priced. So I got to probably find a cheaper alternative, but I'm sure there is one at this point. Oh, which? Okay, yeah, that was the right song. Mm, 21 and 23. Not that. 21 and 23. It's 21. Oh, actually, it's 2022 because it's the opposite leg. Gotcha. It's something I've been thinking about as I actually get closer to finishing this model. It's something I usually haven't done with any of my models so far, is I haven't tried to apply the decals they come with. And I'd have to check. It's probably in this box, but they come with a bunch of like water transfer decals you can put on them. And my general opinion of those is they make it look worse. So I haven't generally applied them, but it's all I might give a shot with this one, depending on what people think. As I said, it never really hurts to try and learn new stuff. And there's a good chance I have the opinion they don't look good. It's because I was a child last time I tried to do it and was not very good at it, which could be the reason they didn't look good. So it might be worth reapproaching that subject to reassess. Apparently, something that's pretty common with these kits is they come with like a water transfer decal, and then they, after the fact, like a couple months after the figure first comes out, they release a like upgraded set of decals that are like a heat transfer or something. There's some other technique besides water transfer. I forget the exact terminology for it. And apparently those are actually really well done and worth putting on. But I've heard mixed things about the decals these models come with. My own experience, as I mentioned. Cool. Clean up, clean up. Well, I guess it is kind of visible. I was kind of curious if the actual amount of plastic left on this piece is visible. I guess it is a slightly darker spot right there, but yeah, there's a little excess plastic still on there. Well, I guess that's reassuring that it seems to help make it even less visible what I'm doing. But as I said, this is more of an exercise in Zen than anything else for me. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting back into baking a bit more too. Something I used to do as a hobby quite frequently. I know I post pictures in Shuts' Discord there of the like cake mix cookies I made. That was like a recipe my aunt sent me. And those were nice, but making stuff from scratch is also really satisfying. C29. Yeah, my roommate a couple of years ago got super into baking bread, and that seemed like it was a really interesting, fun hobby because he had a lot of fun doing like trial and error, changing things with his recipe to get different effects in the bread. It was neat. It sounded like it was super rewarding. Yeah, I actually have. I've used these to pretty good effect for some of the like detailing work I've done where I've had to grip a really tiny piece somewhere, and these have worked pretty good so far. But yeah, tweezers would actually probably work better because the issue I found with these is because there's actually how thick the metal is on this, you can actually put quite a bit of force on this point, and I've actually kind of like indented pieces by holding them too tight. Oh, it blew me away. Like he told me like how much bread he was eating. Like he would show me is like, yeah, this is like $10 $10 worth of ingredients, and he ended up with so much bread from it. Three. Yeah, I have trouble getting into cooking because I just get so bummed out when I try and make something for dinner and it doesn't turn out good. I'm just eating food I don't really enjoy eating. For me, there's honestly probably nothing as depressing in life as eating food you don't really like. Maybe that's just because how much I appreciate eating as the joy in life. Yeah, this is another piece that I noticed this on the last time I did it. But it's a piece where this piece is actually like really loose in here, but I need to attach to this platform, and it like this knee doesn't seem like, it only seems to be held in by a couple tiny of these. It's more that it's this part slides through the center and attaches to that and keeps it in place. There's some neat like tight lock methodology throughout these things. Knee. This might go with that. What orientation do we put these in? Take this. That. Oh, yeah. Squish that in there. That's the hip joint. Well, that's off easier. That other leg out of the way. Straighten these out first. Kind of attach like that. Get them in nice and snug for adjusting the angle. There we go. Oh, well, that came off. No issues. And we have legs. You can't really see from this angle, but lower body. Yeah, you have the legs. Ooh, vinegar and soup sounds like it could be rough. I don't think I've ever really tried a soup that's heavily used vinegar. But yeah, now that we have this at a decent stopping point for right now, I'm gonna take a quick 10-minute break. I hope you'll all join me again when I get back and try and get a chest together on this guy, I think. Okay, thank you for waiting, everyone. I am back from my break. Yeah, just finishing up another leg on the old Deathscythe model there. Looking pretty good. So I'm gonna start on the chest next, but one thing I did do is I noticed in the instructions, it actually wants you to wait till you install these legs first before you do the two side skirts. So I'm going to do those two really quick, and then I'm going to start on the chest piece. Thanks, storyteller. So yeah, just these wide side skirts. Right here. What's that? Okay, it's still pretty. Let me try and adjust that autofocus a little bit, see if we can make it better at this range. There we go. That's a bit better of a middle ground. That way stuff down here isn't quite as blurry. XB 23 and A. Let's grab those XB pieces first. 23. the same piece from the other, because I'm going to make 2 of these at a time. And now the white parts, which are 11 and 12. Plates down here. Oh, this is the wrong sprue. This is the sprue. Yeah, 2 11s and 2 12s. Yeah, and it's still fairly focused at that distance too. It's not bad. Sorry, I'm probably going to be a bit quieter in the second half of this stream, because definitely talked a lot more than I usually do in the first part of the stream, which is fun. Yeah, as I mentioned before, for reasons some of you might know, the main person I talk to about like anime and manga hasn't been around as much recently, so it's nice getting to get some of that stuff out. I think next time for next stream I'll probably next will be the gaming stream, so it won't be as bad. I think for the next model building stream, on top of watching some more Gundam Wing, planning I'll probably start. As I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna have a curated list of like random manga you can redeem for me to talk about for the channel point lists. So I think I'll probably keep working on that. Try and pick 1 or 2 series to talk about for next stream. So I'm sure there's great series. Oh, I know exactly the one I'll talk about, but I don't remember enough about the actual like specifics of it to really talk about it. But I'll look into it for next stream. It's probably my like, it's up there. It's in competition for my favorite like romance story. So I'll bring that up for next stream. That one's ancient. That one ended like 10, 12 years ago. Part of why I really wanted to make sure I had background music on the stream. It actually helps me relax a lot of it. Just listening to some music while I do this as well. Hopefully fill the walls a little bit as well. I was gonna ask Storyteller, did you notice much of a difference in my audio? Like I have it set up so it quiets music a bit when I start talking. Shuts mentioned that was pretty severe last stream. Does it sound a little better now? He said it was pretty much made it so you couldn't hear the song at all when I talked. I adjusted it a bit. Excuse me. Hell yeah. It's good to hear. Almost got these skirts ready to put together. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I had to focus on these lines in particular because you can see there's a raised portion on either side of here. So if I use too much force and it slides forward, it can dig in and like cut some of the details. See, even just gesturing there, I took a tiny little chunk out of that edge. So I got to be real careful here not to use too much force. There we go. You listen to a lot of music storyteller, or ever go to concerts or anything like that? I haven't really been to a concert since the pandemic, since before the pandemic. I've been to a couple like live music things where the concert wasn't the specific draw of it, and they've been pretty negative experiences just because of how like poorly set up the audio in the venue was. So we kind of haven't really had an urge to go to any recently. How the? Oh, okay, I see. Understanding how that was going to be snapping in together, I see it now. Yeah, if you see on this piece, it's got like a slot up and down the middle. Let me try to make sure that gets focused. Yeah, right there. And it's kind of got little jaws on either side pinching it. And the little peg line on this piece, yeah, you can see it reflected in the light there. That goes right in that slot to keep it tight. Couldn't identify that at first. Yeah, and once that's tight on there, this piece goes on the outside, and you can see there's some of that gray piece poking through. This piece actually has little slots that'll squish those pieces in and keep those in place from another angle. So it actually, usually a lot of these pieces have like 2 or 3 different ways to put pressure on a piece to keep it in place. And it also gives that nice little like layered detail effect. Yeah, 2 more side skirts. Put those on. Yeah, and they're just attaching to these little hinge heads on either side. Oh, you can kind of see the internal piece because I just put pressure on it on the wrong angle, and the like internal plating kind of let go. But thankfully, all it means is I just got to push on it a little harder. Actually, I'll take that piece out. And sometimes when it's in a concave piece like this, I just end up using, let's not use the expensive ones just in case. But just use the rounded edge of one of my tools. Put extra pressure on it. Make sure it stays. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. 2 more of those skirts. Yeah, it's starting to come together. I actually really like the details on this one. This one has a lot more like uniqueness in the panels. Like, just if you look at the skirts, this one's very much just armor plates, where this has like a weird like blade effect to a lot of it. So yeah, now we can jump back to the very start of the instructions and do the chest. So this is in their like usual order. That's the first piece they do. I start to suspect doing it this other way. These legs and waist are very like time intensive, and kind of the fact you have to do 2 legs one right after the other is kind of monotonous. So I kind of think they split it up the way they do. So you like do the more interesting like chest and head part first, then the legs, and then finish with the interesting like arms and weapons. I wonder if there's actually a design philosophy that way around it. Yeah, let me actually find the page in the manual I'm looking for. There we go, right at the start. Oh, Coheed and Cambria is great. That must have been a fun concert. Yeah, I saw them. I saw them at like a huge outdoor concert when they opened for Metallica. I think that's the only time I've seen them live. That one was a lot of fun because it was just a huge field with probably about 1,000 people just packed into it. Actually, I think yeah, it might have been about 2,000 or 3,000 now that I think about it. It was a big crowd, but it was still an outdoor concert, so there's only so big it could be. And it definitely wasn't as produced as some of those like million people overseas concerts you see outdoors. Those always like the videos from like Metallica playing in Russia right when they stopped being the Soviet Union, and it was just millions of people in a field. Is insane. I should say millions. I think it was like just over 1 million, but was it 1 million or was it 100,000? Am I completely exaggerating that? Let me look that up. I remember the footage is still more people in one place than I've ever seen. Sorry, I got to live fact check myself so I'm not spreading disinformation. Okay, reliable estimates say crowds between 150,000 and 500,000 people. Some estimates as high as 1.6 million. So yeah, 1 million people exaggerated, probably about 500,000 people, which is still insane. Yeah, just a sea of people. I don't know if I want to go to that because you're like one bad thing will happen from like tens of thousands of people dying from crowd crush. But yeah, let's get started on this next piece, the chest. XB1 and 1 and 2. Oh, small venues are some of the best for concerts, though. I always one of the regret concerts in my mind is I had a chance to go see Guar in like a maybe 100-person size venue, and that would have been such a fucking experience. I really regret not going. Nice. It's a good friend. Okay, so we need to cut a pair of these from the other one as well. Uh-ohs. Appear to be missing a piece. Yeah, there should be another one like this, but it is not on the screw. That could be. Let me just go check my spare part box, make sure I didn't. Hallelujah. I have cut it previously and left it over here in my spare part box because it must have fallen out at some point. I think this piece too. Sorry, I know I'm off camera. Yeah, found these two pieces that I believe are from this model that must have popped out when I was removing the screws originally. But I am very happy because that would have, it's like an internal hinge part for the arms. That would have been no bueno. Oh man. Coffee. Okay, let me check. Is this the part I think it is? Say 22. It is. Yeah, that part was right there. Cool. That's what I need. Yeah, it's always really wild to think about it. About just logistically at a point, a mass of humans just becomes a hazard in and of itself. Wild to think about. Not that they're not hazardous enough individually, but let's try not to be too misanthropic, I guess. Perfect. Yeah, I mentioned before those little like quotation mark things to indicate stuff to pay attention to on the model. And just look how with these internal hinges, it's just like one of it on every single piece with like multiple angles. Because it's like, no, put these together right, damn it. That's why it's kind of funny and how like you can actually understand these instructions really well, despite there not being any English on them. Okay. Then this little mouth chart pointing that way. Okay. Together like that. Nice. Now the same with the other one. Mouth chart that way. This that way. Oh, did I do that? Did that correct? Okay. Resisting me more than usual, so I wanted to make sure. That one went right in. It's just okay, no, that's correct. Did I miss a sprue? No. Okay, that was just a little bit tighter than the other one. Oh, I will say the fingers have been hurting after these streams. There it goes. Nice. Those attached to this plate. What's the orientation of this plate? It is pegs this way, little clips up. Okay. This is going, okay. So this hole in this slides over this peg here. Really tight. There it is. Okay. Oh, okay. That's the like arm shoulder thing that goes like inside. Oh, that's neat. So when it's actually like tight against the body on the arm here, it's actually goes inside the model a little bit. Neat. Do the same on the other side. Yeah. Oh, now it is time for the crew capsule. Oh, right here. Gotcha. Now this is a detail that I remember they even had on the high grade, the lower grade ones I made when I was younger. So there's like a tiny gray pilot you put in the crew seat. B3. Let me get the rest of the pieces first before I cut that model out though. It is tiny. I don't want to lose it. There's There's the tiny, tiny little chair the crew sits in. Hey. 21. Oh, it's the neck. Gundam's neck. 21. 21. Yeah, Akia's instructions should not be as hard to. You get used to them, but there's like quirks about it you kind of gotta understand. I haven't done it in years, but I remember I got pretty used to putting that stuff together. But yeah, the stuff you're putting together with those instructions is way simpler than this stuff. And it's for that matter, it's way worse instructions. Yeah, that's the Gundam's neck right there. It's a ball socket on the top, and then like a pass through that hinges for up and down movement. Yeah, you'll see him in here in a second. I'm just getting all the other pieces trimmed up first, then I'll cut him out. They give you both a sitting pilot and a standing pilot for you if you want to just put him on the ground next to it. Unfortunately, it is not painted, or it's just pure gray, and it is absolutely tiny, so I would never want to paint it. So I usually just put the pilot in the cockpit and close it up. Yeah, part of the fun thing about I say fun. One of the neat things about it is I've talked about the grades of these before, where it's like high grade, master grade, and perfect grade. They actually have scales associated with that specifically for like the actual size of the model, the robots are supposed to be. The like high grade, low grade ones is like 1/144 scale. These are 1/100 scale, and then the perfect grades are like 1/60th scale. Yeah, that's true. Not always. There has been some variations from that on the grade scale. I will say I am pretty new to this stuff, so I don't really have a lot of experience for models outside of this particular line that I bought. Oh, okay. So there's like a lot of variation in the high grade range. That's neat. I had heard about like real grade, which are basically was supposed to be like higher level quality in the high grade uh, range, wasn't it? I have one of those of like Eva's Unit 2 that I'm going to be doing a bit later. And yes, welcome, Bob. Okay, neat. Thanks for giving me some context on that. So let's get the tiny little sitting pilot out. What number was he? The C-17. Oh, it's white on this one, not gray. I guess it's been white on a couple of the ones I've got, actually. But I remember being gray on at least one. Yeah, tiny little sitting man. Sorry, getting right in close to try and make sure I don't cut this part of the model off. I really don't want to get too close on this because there's actually a lot of detail on this. I'm gonna touch that shoulder. Oh, maybe a little bit there. Probably clean enough for me. Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever
Yeah, it's probably too small to come across the camera.
There's actually a fair amount of detail in this guy's jacket and face. I think they actually tried to make it look like the pilot. Not 100% though, because it is super small. Yeah, let's get him together. Put him in the tiny seat. He's got a slot on his back that goes in a slot on the chair. Right. The pod. Neck. Yeah, there's your little tiny cockpit. Actually, oh, this one doesn't have that. On the prototype 0 model here, let's keep it on the stand. This cockpit actually like slides open. You can see him in there. Whereas this one doesn't seem to have that, unless it's coming up later. But from what I can see, no, it doesn't seem like it slides like this one does. That's neat. I know this like Wing Zero is like a later model they put out that's supposed to have more detail, so maybe that's something they added. PC3. Okay, that's just a little retaining clip to keep the two halves of that thing together. Gotcha. PC2. Save 20. Yeah, it makes sense that I don't. The differences in scales in high grade was something I wasn't aware of. I've pretty much exclusively been doing master grade since I came back. Doing these. Last time I did a high grade would have been over a decade ago. Really easy. Soft rubber joint there with the waist, or I don't think that doesn't touch the waist. That attaches just to like a lower stomach section. We'll see that when we get to it. Snaps on top there. Snaps on the bottom
here. Sure, yeah. Little. There it goes. Yeah. Internal parts of the chest. Yeah. I think now we start putting some like color pieces that are meant to basically show through on the outer pieces as details. Yeah. E14, H13, I think. No, it's not H13. Oh, those are annoying. Jeez, look how small these little bits are. Hopefully I don't do too many more small bits like this tonight. Fingers will be screaming. Yeah, those might be the smallest pieces in this kit. That's pretty small. H13. Yeah, I guess I mentioned before when I went on break there that I've been kind of watching Gundam Wing again as we went along building these models, so I figure I'll talk about that for a bit. So first episode basically covers they have the Gundams basically flying into Earth's atmosphere disguised as meteors, and they get intercepted by, I believe it is Zex, who's the ace pilot character I've talked about before. And basically they intercept one of them in orbit, because apparently they had been like tipped off about the plan somehow. And the main one, I really like the ace pilot in this series, because he basically decides, oh yeah, we'll intercept him, we'll chase him into the atmosphere, and then we'll intercept him with the mobile suits. And he says he's gonna jump in like his Leo, which is the like ground assault type mech they have, the standard like basically Mook mech. And his subordinates ask him why he's not using one of the like flight capable ones, and he says he might as well give it his best. And jumps into the land-based mech that has very, very basic booster capability. So it essentially, once it starts actually entering Earth's gravity, it won't be able to maintain flight. It's basically just slowing its fall with its boosters. So he jumps out and manages and is about to shoot at it. Oh, I think it's actually, yeah, a little bit before that point is when the capsule splits open, and not this guy specifically, this is like the upgraded version of him. I don't have a version of the standard wing mech, but basically it pops out and it's like plane mode, because one thing this one and that one can do is this can actually transform into something that resembles a plane. I don't really like how that one looks, because it's kind of like a halfway between like a plane and a bird. Yeah, it basically transforms into that, and he managed to land a lucky hit with his cannon on it and cause it to start entering the atmosphere. And it's at that point where it's when it transforms from the jet into the robot form and uses his like beam cannon to shoot down the two subordinates of the ace pilot. At which point the ace pilot, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to try and get the story straight ahead of time before next time. But yeah, once he shot it down originally, his subordinates came up in the flying mechs and like attached a parachute to his armor because it was getting too low for him to continue fighting. And it's at that point the mech transformed to the robot, pulls out his beam cannon, and blows away the two flying mechs. And at that point, the ace pilot cuts his chute on his mech, jumps and grapples the other mech, and then opens up the compartment and jumps out a parachute himself, basically like hugging the other mech to stop it from flying away. And he said, oh, I did all I could. We'll have to send and go get recovery for it now. And it's just, I really like with that pilot how very matter of fact he is. And it does a little, I think at this point it does a quick montage around. It basically shows the like 4 other Gundams that had landed attacking various locations across the globe. And I believe there's some other stuff happens, but I'm pretty much going to skip ahead. I mentioned the scene with the like rich girl daughter who comes across him washed up on the beach. She had basically seen the whole original battle as she was re-entering Earth's atmosphere, because she's like a really rich like politician's daughter. There's a lot of backstory stuff about her like resenting how hard her father's working and all that stuff. But yeah, she comes across him washed up on the beach. The whole scene earlier I talked about, where as soon as he wakes up, he immediately like detonates a bomb on his chest that doesn't end up working. Runs up and punches out all the paramedics she had called to like save him, and then like steals their ambulance and runs away. And she does the super dramatic introduction of herself to him and in the distance. And I think that might be where that first episode ended off. Oh no, it did end up going. There's a bit of a school thing where he ends up enrolling her in her school. And she invites him to her birthday that's upcoming, and he, in one swift like sequence, rips up the envelope in front of her, gives her like a really smoldering smug look, and then as walking by her whispers to her, "I'm going to kill you," because she recognized him from when he washed up on the beach. And that's basically, I think that's basically where that first episode left off. Oh, as I mentioned, I kind of don't mind having the voice actors be a little overly dramatic, because the actual source material is super over dramatic too. But yeah, second episode introduces us to the pilot of the mech I'm building now, the Deathscythe. That's the guy with the like California surfer bro / Australian accent. Australian might be wrong. I have a hard time distinguishing between like Australian and Kiwi. So it could be Kiwi, so don't. It's super bad of you if that's the case. Oh, my hands are getting sweaty. Yeah, it follows him along for a little bit, and introduces him while he's attacking a like mech production facility, and he basically gives you a little taste of his character. And then it cuts back to the ace pilot guy who's basically leading the operation to recover the Gundam that he had sunk with his mech. And as part of that, he's like, "Oh, these guys are taking away the basically other normal military," because he's part of some like special operations group called Oz, that's like kind of outside the normal military chain of command, it seems, or it's probably within it, just kind of like a special forces type thing. But he's complaining about how long it's taking like the regular military to launch their mechs and recover it. So he's like, so he contacts the captain of the boat and is like, "Oh, we're having difficulties with our engines, and if we like dock with your boat and you allow us to do repairs and don't tell anyone about it, I'll lend you some of our really good mechs that'll help you do this way quicker." And cuts off. This is after the captain has basically been really snuffy about how like the special orders guy was leading this operation, and he does that to him, and then cuts off the call after he agrees. He's like, "Yeah," and this morning it's like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the boat. What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, he wouldn't have agreed to let us help him if he didn't, and I just want to get the shit done." Like, he has a really matter of fact approach to a lot of his problems that I kind of really appreciate. But I've heard Gundam's always been like well known for its like villain characters. Like, as I said, I have very little knowledge of the older things, and even I know about Char. These little headlights on the shoulders. Yeah, while his subordinates are out in the mechs helping to recover the other mechs, they come across the ground mech that had latched onto it, and couldn't really find the Gundam anywhere near it. And then a short distance away, they eventually find it, and they comment a bit on it about how it's completely untouched, and because it's apparently made about some super special alloy called Gundanium. I love naming of MacGuffin materials and sci-fi stuff. But yeah, as they are approaching it, it starts like beeping and glowing, and they think it might be the self-destruct sequence. And while they're in the middle of that, the pilot of this mech, the Deathscythe, comes up behind them and basically ambushes them. takes out all the subordinates really quickly, and then comments of it. Oh, it is a self-destruct, but because one thing is, this is when it becomes apparent in the story. None of these pilots know the other pilots were sent. Like they all think they're the only people on the mission. So he's like, oh, this looks just like my mech. I bet the self-destruct's the same part, and basically uses his scythe to like basically precisely cut into a part of it and disable the self-destruct. He's like, sweet, spare mech, and basically starts lugging it away. Like I kind of like the Southern Aussie accent is absolutely probably going to cause issues when he actually has to be serious, but when he's just kind of being happy-go-lucky, it really works. See it here. Yeah, and it cuts away from that to back to the school, and it shows the pilot who washed up on the beach, the main character. I think his name was Hiro Yui. One thing I noticed is all the pilot names seem to have like a number theme to their names. The first one's like Hiro Yui, second one's like Duo Maxwell, third one's Tetra something, fourth one's like Quatra. So there seems to be a weird kind of naming sense in a lot of their names. But shows him at his school basically using some type of technology to hack into the school computers and say all his fees are paid for, basically make up his identity being there. And then immediately starts like using it to hack into the local extranet to find where like they're storing military supplies nearby. And he finds a place nearby that has a bunch of torpedoes. And he goes and breaks into the place to get the torpedoes because his plan is to basically blow up his mech because it wasn't working anymore. Figures if he hits it with a bunch of torpedoes, it's enough to finish triggering its self-destruct sequence. So there's this whole sequence where he basically breaks into the military base and is stealing the torpedoes. And I really love at the end of the sequence, he loads the torpedoes into the ambulance. And I can't tell really if it's the same ambulance he stole the first time or if he went and stole another ambulance because it worked so well the first time. I like to think the latter because, yeah. But yeah, he does that and he rushes off to the port with the torpedoes on the ambulance. And as he passes by like one of his classmates who, when he's on his way to that girl's birthday party that he was invited to, he mentions he passed by him and she immediately runs off to see what he's doing. And it goes from there that it basically she runs to the port where he's launching their torpedoes and confronts them, and he like immediately like just turns around, pulls out a gun, and is like, okay, say goodbye. And it was at that point like the other pilot jumps in and shoots him, and there's a real cheesy line of like, clearly you're the bad guy because you're preying on this thing. Old anime has some cheesy ass lines. But he does that and like shoots him in the arm and shoots him in the leg again when he like dives for his gun. And eventually Hiro just like jumps and lands on the torpedoes that he had already semi-loaded and like slams the accelerator and rides the torpedoes off of the ocean towards they were targeted. And, like falls off and starts floating in the water, unconscious. I think that's episode 2. I think that's pretty much it for episode 2. I think there was a couple scenes with the other pilots basically just establishing what they were up to at the time, but I don't think it was anything super plot relevant. This is getting me really distracted from putting this together, so let me just take a second here to at least get a couple pieces cut out here. Yeah, third episode, it starts up with him like being tied down in a hospital, and like the military doctor that's like looking at him, he's commenting about how there's no record of him really anywhere except school, and basically starts becoming suspicious. And like the girl keeps trying to go in to see him, and why is he tied down? Basically trying to use her authority as a military daughter to get into him, and I don't think it actually ends up going anywhere. I think the like other pilot at that point, at some point along this thing, realized because they're like keeping him under lock and key, he's another pilot like him. I forget, there was a logic to it that sounds a lot better than that, but I forget what it is off the top of my head. But essentially that happens and he realizes the other guy's another pilot, so he breaks in as a janitor to save him. There's a bit on that where when they're escaping, he like because a lot of like the main guy's like motivations for stuff has been very self-destructive so far. Like his goal was to trigger the self-destruct on his mech, and while he's like they jump off a cliff to escape this facility he's in, And while he's falling, he has a parachute, and the other guy like pops his parachute and starts yelling at him to open his parachute, and he just doesn't do anything. He just starts keep falling head on. Seems like he's basically saying, "I can't get my mech. I'm useless. I'm just gonna end it here, so I'm not a liability." And of course, the girl calls his name, and he like pulls the chute at the last second and like rolls down the hill to save himself. And where was it? Oh yeah, and then it cuts to a bit where basically the head pilot for the enemy organization, that's been in all the earlier bits, basically, is like visiting the main production plants for that, and that's when they get into the thing I mentioned earlier about like the super strong prototype mech for all their other mechs that he gets and takes from this. And while he's inspecting this facility, it basically comes under attack by this guy. And while it's attacking, he eventually gets permission and like launches a bunch of his subordinates that happen to be there on their. He's in there. The giant dirigible actually is his airship that they're using to get around. But they basically all deploy to cover his escape in the dirigible, and they land some pretty good shots on the heavy arm. And the heavy arm runs out of ammo. That's what happens. That's why they start surrounding him and actually manage to get close to him. He runs out of ammo, so they all start surrounding him. And at that time, that other mech I showed you earlier, the Sandrock, we had seen him and a couple forces basically working with what seems to be like their like Middle Eastern Empire theme mechs that are supposed to be like rebels on that planet. He has a bunch of those. Basically, it seems like he's basically royalty to them, kind of thing. But they have a scene where they shoot down all the flying mechs, and he runs in and like, I don't really understand why. That's the thing a lot with a lot of these older action movies is people just kind of fight for no reason. So like he shoots down all the mechs that are attacking this guy, and then jumps in and like gets into a knife fight with him. And they end up like grabbing each other's arms. And there's actually a fun thing in this anime is there's a lot of times fights end just because like the two mechs just like grab and bear hug each other so the other one can't move, and like just shut their own mech down in that stance to keep them pinned. But that happens, and they basically both come out of the cockpits. And I think the only thing we really got about this heavy arms guy on like the extra little scenes is we got a scene of him wanting to join a circus because he gets along with the lions really well. So after he locks him out, the rich kid prince character like comes out of the cockpit and tells him he doesn't want to fight him at all and wants to talk to him. And the other guy comes out like holding up his hands. Like even then it's like, why are you holding up your hands? I surrendered first, and all that weird. Like they're really playing up that character who's like a prince character who's actually being really good. Like he had a lot of like second guesses about killing people and always gave people a chance to surrender. He seems to be their like morally high ground character they're going for. Yeah, and then it cuts to a scene of like the main guy in the wing and the Deathscythe pilot, who's Duo, I believe his name was, hanging out in a facility where he has the wing Gundam in his Gundam, and he's like, I even saved your mech for him, basically giving him shit about not being more thankful for saving him. And while he's talking, like the hero guy just like casually like pops his shoulder back in the socket and does a bunch of like breaks and resets one of his fingers, and like basically does a bunch of huge painful things that just start grossing that guy out. And that's basically where that third episode ends. And I think that's all I've watched now. And I know that was very rambly, but thank you for indulging me. I was trying to not forget too much. But yeah, there's been some good highlights. My highlights for it so far is definitely like, doing my reading on this, I found out that it was very much, this was kind of their first attempt of like, let's take all the like let's make all the pilots kind of pretty boy characters and kind of appeal to that audience and make them a shonen, I think is the term they use. And it very much comes across, and especially with like the rich girl's relationship to it. It's like, oh, this guy ripped up an invitation in front of my eyes, then gave me a really hot look, and then told me he's gonna kill me, and then I was in love for him forever. It's like, okay. Very much like, yeah, I know you think people like bad boys, but there's a certain extent to that. But at the same time, the popularity of like the yandere character nowadays says there's an appeal to that even now, I guess. I'm looking for here P4. But yeah, that's what I watched that for, and I figure I'll probably do about that. I was thinking about maybe doing more episodes, but based on how long that took to kind of ramble out, I think I'll probably stick to about 3 episodes a stream. Seems like a nice regular feature we can do. And it fills time talking. I've run out of lots of topics. Thankfully, this model's actually coming around pretty nice while I am talking. Oh, for sure. Like it never really was anything that appealed to me. Like aesthetically, I guess, kind of like gothy stuff is neat, but it was never the actual like threatening violence part of it that did anything for me. It was always just kind of the gothy aesthetic. Oh, I should need some water after that. That was a lot of talking. By water, I mean chug a coffee and then chug some water. It was an interesting day when I learned there was like a whole world of dere stereotypes. That like tsundere and yandere were just kind of a tip of an iceberg type thing. I think the only other like real widespread one I've ever seen is like kudere. Which I like kudere characters, but I find kudere characters are more funny than anything. I find they're used really effectively in comedies more than they are in like actual romances. I find in romances they're super boring, usually. The color. Okay, so this piece I've already cut out. A waste piece. With 18, right? Yeah, it's good. D7. I believe D's this blue. Okay, ready for this step. Hey, welcome, Agus. Or Aegis, I guess. That's one of those words I definitely read way more than I've ever had to say it aloud. Thanks for coming. Just working on the chest part of my Gundam Deathscythe model. I've got the legs pretty much already done. So I decided to work it on the chest next. Yeah, Tsundere is one of the ones where it has to be done extremely well in like a straight romance for it to really work for me. It's another one where I generally prefer like a comedy, but there has been a couple like well done Tsunderes. Mostly it's the ones that where they actually nut up and start acting more directly near the end. Hell yeah. Far from an expert, but we will get there. Yeah, part of why I wanted to document these actually when I build in it is I'm sure the couple models of these I've done already, there's probably a noticeable difference in like the quality of the parts, but I can't really tell a whole lot when they're fully constructed. But I'm sure they must be a lot cleaner on some of my more recent builds than my first couple. Is it all good? Back. Piece pops out in the middle. Oh, I did the wrong order. Damn. At least I can notice now. I'm gonna put this belt part on first. I think it shouldn't be too bad to come off. Yeah. So belt on first. Waist belt. That's little strips upward. Okay, that's why I have to put this on first, because this actually isn't that tight a fit by itself. The other pieces press it in. Okay. Yeah, these little tabs go underneath the other piece and keep it in place. Neat. It's tight. Yeah. What was I supposed to? Oh, I was going to say, it's weird that compartment's still open. It's because I'm building that right now. A10 and D1. Jeez, there we go. Yeah, I can tell as I'm getting more and more tired, my organization of these sprues is getting worse and worse. A10. No, that's A10. This is D1. Those look like they'll be a pain, so I'll do those after I finish this. It did bump it my head a little bit there at one point. There we go. Still, those contact strips have been good, keeping good from stopping the thing. I think it just bent the hinge slightly up here. Not bent, but activated the hinge up here a bit when I knocked it with my headset earlier. Those contact strips have been working good. Gotta be careful I'm not cutting off a peg I need here. Nope. Okay. I think that's like one of a very tiny amount of red parts in this build. Oh, this piece is awkward. Thankfully, it looks like my clippers did a pretty good job. Only have to do a couple spots here. Oh, ugly. Thankfully, I have tools. Oh, left-handed markering. Should look good. It's dry. Just in case not, do a little cleanup manually. As I mentioned, nice thing about these markers is when they're not dry, pretty much just wipe it off with a finger. So if you put a little too much on, it's easy to fix. Yeah, put that aside to dry for a second. Okay, so while that other piece is drying, let's do these little detail pieces. And one of the few yellow pieces in this model, or orange, I guess. G1, 6, and 7. Wigs. Yeah, it's one thing I kind of they do this a lot, especially in these chess pieces. I noticed they do a lot of these small individual color pieces, and they'll fit inside behind other pieces, so just a little bit of color comes through on the outside. It looks really, it does a good job of adding some detail. They're also small as shit. Definitely usually do a pretty good job of cutting these in a way where it doesn't fling the little particles all over the place, but especially when I have these small pieces, it's real hard to do it properly. Hope. As I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of saving a lot of the little nib particles I got, so I can kind of see what I end up with at the end of it. It'd be nice if I can get a nice mix of the colors. Hell yeah, welcome Drew. Been pretty good so far. Now let's put these detail pieces in. These go. They go in the nuts. Okay, you can. I don't know how well it. Yeah, it's kind of too dark to show on camera, but there's like actually a little slot exposed underneath the vents on the inside of this plate. It seems like I'm supposed to slide this long yellow slot in there, so this front part will be a detail. Give it a shot. Is that the right angle? Yeah, it's right angle. Okay, just gotta get it in there. Let me just check that. Okay, I thought it might go in farther, but it seems like it actually does protrude a little bit. Let me get the other one in place, then we'll use the stub to push them in a bit more. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to when you say COE 33 there, Drew. What is that? I've gotten a few of my model kits off Amazon. Originally is where I got my first couple, but the last couple I've just literally gone to a local hobby shop, and they've had probably the much better prices, I'd say for sure. And it's a really nice supporting local small shops too. Oh, Expedition 33. Okay, yeah, I have heard of that. That's supposed to be really good. Yeah, I only heard it really referred to as Expedition 33. I didn't see the acronym before. That piece I put some marker on to cover the mar mark should be done drying by now. Just put that on. Yeah, that's the one that has like kind of reminded me the bit I saw of it of like Mario RPG, where it's like turn-based combat, but it has active portions. So yeah, the little thing I just attached there is the cockpit door. So it does have a way you can see into the cockpit on this one, like I pointed out in the other one. It's just not as articulated. Oh, we're actually done with the chest. So let's get this attached to the model. That requires us to make a waist piece. Or a like lower abdomen piece, rather. A XA12. Oh hell yeah, that's great to hear. I'll probably end up checking that out. I really like turn-based combat. Not necessarily that style. I'm much more affinity for like a XCOM turn-based strategy game, but I still really do like the old school kind of RPG turn-based combat style in some games. C119. To C1. Here. Yeah, I did mention Drew. Tomorrow I'm actually going to be doing my first gaming stream. I was thinking I kind of settled on my schedule. I'm probably going to do like 2 model building streams and 2 gaming streams a week. So I'll do Tuesday and Thursday for model building, and then Wednesday and Sunday for gaming. I believe my first game is going to be playing through Titanfall 2's campaign, because I wanted to play something kind of mech related to be mildly relevant to the model building stuff, and then I love the campaign. I mentioned it right at the start of the stream, but one of my guilty pleasures of watching streamers is seeing various streamers play through the campaign of Titanfall 2. So kind of appropriate for that to maybe be my first game. Yeah, I love, like, it's the story's super great. The gameplay, they keep doing things to keep the gameplay interesting. The level design is perfect. I love that it's basically a buddy cop movie, but your buddy cop is a giant robot. Yeah, I'm probably going to play that tomorrow, and I think I'd be able to finish the campaign on Sunday. It's a fairly short campaign. I think it's only like 8-10 hours, so I could probably do that in 2 streams. So that'll be the gaming for this week, and then I'm not sure what I'll do for gaming next week. I have been talking about doing Oblivion Remake, and mentioned that has quite a bit of nostalgia for me. So I might end up doing that. I'm off camera here, sorry. Ooh, 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 ooh. There we go. There's the first hand cramp. Oh, I saw those coming soon. That's the problem when I'm doing this cutting is some of these pieces are so thin that I have to grip them so tight that it almost guarantees me to have a hand cramp at some point. But as I said, that mostly comes down to personal preferences. I'm sure I could use a tool of some kind to assist with it, but I find it just require me to like unattach the tool and wobble around when I can just use tactile feeling to go much quicker. Which show was that, Drew? Sorry, we were talking about 2 or 3 different things there all at once. I forgot which one we were talking about. Ah, I see. I didn't know there was a show for that. I wonder if it's just... Oh. Oh, it's pretty close. It's funny that it's actually, yeah, it's Games with Titan in the title. What was the other one that would be? Like Clash of the Titans? That like Roman, like mythic fighting movie? Attack on Titan's not bad. I read the manga mostly. I never really checked out the anime, but the anime got super popular. Oh, that's unfortunate though, Drew, that it's not there. Only subtitles. It's a shame more stuff doesn't have dubs for those who like it. Thankfully, I enjoy subs more than dubs, so I'm pretty happy. But it's unfortunate for people. Like I have a friend who has like a little bit of dyslexia, and it makes reading subtitles really hard for him. So it's really unfortunate when there's shows that just don't have an English dub. So I feel for you. Okay, with that waist done, we secure it there, and that gives us a bit of like side to side and forward flexibility at the core, and then that piece goes in there. Give us our chest piece. Oh, let me try and adjust this a bit. So, oh yeah, there we go. Shows up on camera pretty okay. Get this camera straight out. Yeah, let me get a clean background for this. And I'll do my gathering. Sorry if that was loud. Oh, me too, Drew. That actually is probably how I'm going to start those streams. Is I'll probably play a couple of rounds of multiplayer if it doesn't take forever to find a game. I love the multiplayer in those games. I was okay with Apex. Like, I liked playing Apex, but I kind of resented it because it basically guaranteed there wasn't going to be more Titanfall. Didn't become full on resent until they actually canceled Titanfall, but... Oh, let's see what we end up with. Yeah, there's the new pile. Plastic. There's actually a big chunk in there. Yeah, what time are we looking at? Yeah, I figured this is right around the time I was figuring I was close. I'm trying to keep it to about 4 hours thing because I have a limited amount of talking in me now. I'm sure that'll strengthen up over time and we'll get a bit more in. But apologies to those who are just kind of starting to hang out, come in. I'm probably going to wrap it up there. But as I mentioned, I'll be back about 6 p.m. to do Titanfall. And imagine when I'm playing a game, I'll probably be willing to go a bit later as I get into it. But I'm kind of low on energy for keeping going on this right now. So I'm probably going to call it there. Go. webcam for a bit. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming around. Really happy to have everyone come around. Yeah, Mountain Standard Time. Thank you very much, Storyteller. Yeah, that's my usual time. I'm thinking of starting is between like 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'll probably go late, depending. I'm not going to be too strict on time. I'm figuring I'll just find a good stopping point when I'm building, and that'll work out. And as I mentioned, I do want to show off a bit more of the like panel lining that I've been doing on this model. So I think I'll probably start trying to sneak doing a bit of work on this to do the panel lining to show how that goes. That seems like that'd be something neat too. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I hope to see you all again. And I cut myself off with my outro. Great. Yeah, take care everyone.